Little increase in production value there for you since
Yeah,
the
that
last
was
time
it.
you've hung out. Yeah. What's up, French fries, and welcome to a very special edition of Wada Hockey, brought to you by the Third Line Draft, Conway and Banks and Sauce Toss. We are always excited to be joined today by a returning guest for, I believe, the third time. He is a former ECHL Defenseman of the Year and most recently set the record for the most assists and points by a defenseman for Ilves hockey, as well as tallying the most goals for any defenseman in the entire Liga. He's the one, the only Les Lancaster. Welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah.
Everyone's been asking for it, and we finally decided to give it to him.
Yeah, third time's the charm. So I'm always happy to, come back on the show and talk shop with you guys.
Well, we appreciate it. Like I said, the fans over there in Tampere have been literally knocking down our DMs asking when you're coming back. So I don't know now. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you going into this next season as the only import on the team so far? I know that there was another guy, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything about him re-signing. So, are you the one and only golden import child, as they would say?
No, we just actually announced a few, I think like 7 or 8 new signings, and there was a couple Czech guys and a Swedish goalie as well. And so there's, as of right now, I think there's like 5 or 6 of us for next year. But I am the oldest returning player, so I do have that claim, unfortunately, being the oldest. But yeah, we had a lot of guys move on from this previous season, so I guess being the oldest returning guy, hopefully I bring some experience and leadership to the team next year.
You mean you say you're the oldest, but like I said before, you're setting records. I mean that you just wrapped up your second campaign with Ilves and Liga, and you guys are part of the Champions League. Can you kind of take me a little bit through that? Because obviously for us here in North America, we just have your standard NHL, AHL, ECHL, and then the leagues kind of tier down below that. But over there, it's kind of like a tournament style. Obviously, there's soccer's huge overseas and really around the world outside of the U.S., so to speak. So, what was that like? Was the style of play different for you going from like a Champions League game to back to Liga, or was it pretty fluent as far as the flow went?
Yeah, it was a pretty cool experience. I think that was Ilves's first year in Champions League altogether, so it was pretty cool to be a part of. And we actually got really lucky. We got some good countries to go to, which was Switzerland, uh, Norway, and oh boy, I'm trying to think of the Austria, Salzburg. So
Okay.
we got a couple really cool places to go to, and it was definitely a little bit different. I feel the Finnish teams are really good skating teams, and maybe a little bit more physical, and just at the Champions League was at the beginning of the year too, so those were the very first hockey games that we played. So I think the two teams that we played right away were just trying to figure out systems. Like I said, those were our first real games, so I think
Yeah.
everybody was kind of just trying to figure it out, in live action for the first time. But yeah, it was a really cool experience. We had a team trip to Dornbirn. We were there for about 5 days, and did some really cool things in Austria, and then made our way over to Switzerland to play, which was an awesome experience. They had a really good crowd, awesome arena, and a really good hockey team, which was a fun challenge for us. And then we made our way over to Salzburg and got a win in overtime on the road. And we actually had a really good fan showing there as well. They made the trek all the way out to Salzburg, and I think maybe a direct flight, or maybe flew into Munich and then drove down. And we had a full stands of our fans, which was pretty cool. And it was a good game, and to get the win there was awesome. And then we spent a day in Germany as a team as well. So overall, it was really fun. And obviously, being an American, not really getting to travel Europe too terribly much, it was a cool experience for me because, like most of my teammates, they've been to some of those places, and I haven't had that opportunity. So it was really fun for me, and very fun as well.
So it's funny you say that. I remember kind of seeing, social media blowing up. What's the name of that support group you guys have over there? Because I think they were the ones that kind of facilitated the entire trip to go see you guys play outside of Finland.
Oh God, I don't know if I pronounce it right, but it's like Osteo 41.
Yeah,
So
I was
I
thinking
don't know if I
of
pronounced
it.
that right. Probably not because I'm American, and it is what it is. But
You got to
uh,
accept us for our faults. We do our
yeah,
best.
exactly. It's whatever. I've just accepted it at this point, and at the end of the day, they know what I'm trying to say. I think so.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It translates on the ice that you could speak zero. You could say, what is it? Kitos is thank you, I believe. And
Yeah,
outside of that, they wouldn't care if you continue to put up the numbers that you have. So
yeah, exactly.
but you're back over here, you're stateside for the offseason. But you did sign a 1 year contract extension with Ilves to return next season. What went into kind of that decision, and how are you looking to top your record setting performance from the past year? Is there anything that you're kind of looking to maybe hone in on, or is it still just I'm going to go out and play my game and it's going to translate on the ice?
Yeah, I think a few things went into my contract negotiations. Obviously talking with my agent, and just kind of seeing where things could possibly go for next year. We kept chatting, and I felt Ilves was able to give me a really good offer, especially for the season I did have. I felt like I was deserving of a good contract, and they were able to provide that. And I've said it from the very beginning. It's I love the organization, and I love our city. Our fans are first class when it comes to fans in Europe, and our arena, our facilities. Like I said, the whole organization is great, and as a player, you can't really ask for too much more. And like I said, I was happy to sign a 1 year extension, and I think after I did sign the extension, I just kind of felt at ease, and kind of knowing I already had my plan set for next year, and all I had to worry about was just playing hockey. And obviously staying healthy was a big part of that, being able to play in every single game throughout the regular season. And we also just had a good team. I had a bunch of great teammates with me out there on the ice, and it's not an individual performance. I can't just do that myself. And
Right.
without them, that record or those records wouldn't have been achieved. So I think many stars kind of aligned at the right time, and just had a really good season.
So speaking of this season, obviously setting those records, do you think anything kind of changed from your personal perspective going into this last year? Would you say that you were more comfortable with maybe the Liga style of play after a full year of experience before that? Maybe that allowed you to kind of see things a little more clearly, or was it just kind of maybe like you said, the team that was around you meshed a little bit more, or you were more comfortable going into that second season? What would really do you think from an outsider standpoint might have changed for you to have such a successful second year?
Yeah, I would say the two biggest things were the comfort and then just the confidence. Going into my second year, I knew when I was flying back to Finland, I pretty much knew the whole city already. I knew where I was living. I knew the grocery store.
Right.
Everything that I struggled with at the beginning of my first year, I didn't have that same struggle coming into my second year. And I already knew all my teammates. I built really good friendships and connections with those guys in my first year, and stayed in touch with them all throughout the summer last year. And obviously going into this previous year, just felt way more comfortable, and you know just came in and ready to play hockey, and felt good. And I think just having that confidence on the ice as well, or that having that comfort kind of translated onto the ice, because I was able just to be a lot more confident and not have to worry about anything outside of the ice hockey rink, and just worry about playing hockey, like I said. And I'd say the comfort and the confidence was key for me this past year. And going into the third year, we kind of had a weird situation with the coaching change, but
Right.
having success with Pendo, and Pendo is going to be our coach next year. I think we have the same D coach as well. So, just having that comfort and confidence, just for my coaching staff as well, going into this third year, because obviously we're going to have a lot of new players, but for me personally, the confidence and comfortability will still be there for me.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people that watch the sport kind of fail to realize is, just like every other sport, hockey players are a creature of habit. They get into a routine. Most of them have like a pregame meal that they always eat, post-game meal, depending on how the game went, kind of they want to keep that specific routine. So looking now on this past season, you guys got a brand new arena, brand new training facility. How much did that kind of help you this past season? And how nice was that? Because obviously, throughout your career, you kind of bounced around the ECHL, AHL, and what a lot of people also don't realize is in the ECHL, you're never guaranteed a next year contract. They're pretty much year to year. There are no long term deals, even though you do have a lot of guys that are with teams for a long period of time. But what was that like, kind of getting that experience of having that brand new training facility and really kind of being able to hone in on maybe your fitness or your nutrition, or just getting the fact of, oh my God, all this equipment's brand new. Like I don't have to wait for it to be fixed because it's brand new.
Yeah, I mean, like as an athlete, anytime you have great facilities, I mean, it always helps, and uh, I've had the experience of playing in the ECHL, and like you said, going up and down in the AHL too, and kind of checking out all these different facilities around North America. And I've had some tough conditions as a player. And no, it is
Yeah.
what it is, and you got to kind of just make do with what you have. But coming to the rink, and we have a full kitchen in our locker room. There's fruit or snacks or whatever for games, and our gym is located right there. Our equipment guy, they have everything we need there. We have storage there, so it's just anything that a player might ask for, everything is pretty much right there. And if you need anything, our organizations, our management, their office is right down the hall from us. So if you need to go talk to them or whatever, everything's resolved really quickly. And it's great. Like I said, it makes coming to the rink nice. You're not coming to some crappy arena or
Yeah.
crappy locker room where you kind of have to smush in. We got a great facility, and yeah, as an athlete, as a player, you can't really ask for anything else. And just kind of seeing what it's done for our city. The World Championships were there last year, and
Yep.
they're there again this year. And they hold a bunch of concerts, a bunch of different events. So it's definitely bringing some revenue to our city as well, and kind of making our city like a hockey capital, and not just Finland, but kind of Europe as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of equipment, you and I have gone back and forth a couple times. I think we both used the same stick over the last couple months. The only difference is you go with the traditional, I believe, black and green
Yeah,
to match
black and
the.
green.
Will we ever see a white and green debut on the ice? Is that a snafu that we're never going to see you have in your hands?
We will probably never see myself using a white hockey stick or spray painting it white. I did it one year in college. I think it was my sophomore year. I spray painted my stick white. I'll see if I can send you a photo of it, because
Yeah.
you'll love it. And I used to get chirped all the time for it. So ever since then, I think Joe Pavelski is the only one that really uses a white stick. And I
Yeah,
guess
and
when you play in the NHL and score goals, like, it's crazy.
it's
You can
true.
do whatever you want. So
Yeah, now Warrior's done this like weird gradient where it starts off the knob is black, and then once it gets to the blade, it's completely white. I don't know. Obviously, with the ECHL being a Warrior sponsored league, you see it a lot. But
yeah.
yeah, if it makes you feel any better, like I said, both have been snapped. They're out of warranty. I do have a Pavelski stick that I do use in games because it's just it's a feeling. You got to go out there and having that Pavelski stick, you just feel like you can score on command, even though it's not the case. But
The skill
so
level is a little different, but the looks are the same, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
You get it, yeah. And
Yeah,
then next year,
exactly.
I guess league is probably going to adopt all the tinted visors. It'll be just the filthiest league, like look like a EC or NHL 2K or 23, whatever.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
on the ice. But so back to kind of your time over there. You've had 2 full seasons with Ilves now on the books. What has been kind of your most memorable moment on the ice with the team so far, and then off the ice? Obviously you build a lot of bonds, and I would assume that those bonds are a little bit stronger because you kind of have to overcome that language barrier. So once you kind of get comfortable with the guys in your locker room, what has really stood out to you from both on and off the ice in your time with Ilves so far?
Yeah, on the ice, I mean, man, there's so many moments on the ice. It's hard. I mean, when you're playing in front of 10 to 12,000 fans a night, I mean, we've had some really close games and some just electric games as well. I think it was game 4 of the playoffs of the second round. I think we had a sold out crowd or whatever, and
Yeah.
we were down 2-0 and kind of battled our way back. And I scored a power play goal late, and the crowd just went crazy. That was probably like one of the you know, loudest crowds I've ever been a part of, to say the least. I mean, it was just it was such an electric feeling, and really cool to be a part of. And as something on the ice, it's really hard to say. I love playing against the other team in our city because every time we do play each other, it's 12,000 fans in the arena, and
Yep.
it's always a battle against those guys too. And it's just a lot of fun to play those guys. And but on the ice as well, like I said, we got to go to Switzerland and play hockey. Got to go to Austria, play hockey. Went to Norway as well. So it's been a really cool experience to play all around Europe, and I kind of look forward to doing it again next year as well. But off the ice, kind of gives me the opportunities. Like I said, if I was in America, I wouldn't be able to get. And when we have our international break in November, they typically give us a week to 5 days off or so. And I was able to go to Italy and spend a week in Rome and kind of travel and see some things. And obviously, if I was in America, I wouldn't have the chance to do that. And with Rome being, it was like a 3-hour flight. I was able to hop on
Yeah.
a plane quick and spend a week over there and just kind of see the world and get those experiences I wouldn't be able to if I was back home. And I think this November we're going to plan on going to Greece and maybe check check that out a little bit, or maybe Paris or something. It's kind of undecided, but still, just to have that opportunity is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're essentially getting to live out, you know, a lot of people's sports dreams, and then obviously the travel aspect of it just makes it even that much sweeter. But now you've gotten to spend time, like we said earlier, in the AHL, the ECHL, and in the college ranks, as well as Ilves now for a couple of years. Um, would you say the locker room culture in Finland translates to the US, or is it a little bit different of a culture over there, from your perspective? Obviously, like we said, language barrier is always going to be there, but you know, is it hockey is one of those where like once you're in the family, you're kind of in the family. Do you kind of get that sense while you're over there and going into the locker room, especially now being one of the more veteran style guys in the locker room, you're probably going to be taking on a bit more of a leadership role. So what's the locker room culture like in Liga versus maybe the AHL or ECHL?
Yeah, I'd say the culture is definitely different. Just a different part of the world, right? In
Yeah.
general, just the culture in general is different. Where what we have in America, you have all North Americans and maybe a few Europeans on your team
Yeah.
or whatever it may be. And, it's vice versa where, obviously in Finland now we have a lot of Finns, and as of right now, I'm the only North American for next year. Whether that's going to change, I'm not exactly sure, but it is a little bit different. I mean, obviously most of the team speaks Finnish, so that's primarily what is used in our locker room, and all the imports will speak English. And but like my teammates do a good job of including me in on what's being said or whatever, and so I don't feel left out at all. And I think just with my personality, I'm pretty talkative and just kind of have that charisma about me as well, that I'm just a big personality in the locker room, always talking or giving shit to somebody. So,
Yeah.
it's just that's just kind of who I am. So, definitely a little bit of a different culture, but it's still fun to be in the locker room with the guys.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then, kind of on that topic. You would be what we call, a glue guy. You got to keep the team together. Are we going to see the return of Iceman? Maybe in Finland, get the bleach blonde back and just kind of walk in and
Oh,
just hope that they've seen Top Gun. They're not
oh
like,
my
what is
God.
happening?
That it's actually hilarious. I forgot who I was talking to about that the other day. No, I will not be dyeing my hair bleach blonde again. I remember doing that. Josh gave me shit for it too, but I don't know. I don't even know why I did it in the first place. And obviously, I had a really good year in the ECHL, so I think at that point I was like, screw it, let's just stick with it and keep it
Yeah.
going for the year. And but no, I didn't. After the year I had last year, I probably shouldn't change anything. So no, I will not be dyeing my hair for next year.
All right, we can lay the rumors to bed then.
Yeah,
So like we kind of talked about this before we started recording. It's no secret you're an avid golfer, and recently had the chance to play Jupiter Hills, which is one of the most prolific, country club courses in North America. Outside of a course like that, what are some that are kind of left on your bucket list to try and get out there and play in the off seasons?
yeah. Well, I have a big bucket list trip coming up. I leave for Scotland in 15 days now, so I
Oh, we're
have
getting was it St. Andrews under the belt?
yeah, yeah. So I'm playing St. Andrews, Carnoustie, Kingsbarn, Dumbarnie, and another course at St. Andrews, and then going to spend a few days in Edinburgh. So yeah, it's gonna be a trip of a lifetime and something I've been planning for almost a year now. So the fact that the time is already here, or right around the corner, is crazy, and I'm very very excited for it.
Are the clubs making the trip? Or are we going to do what the course has available for you?
Oh no, the clubs come with me everywhere I go. I brought my clubs to Finland this past year. Played a couple courses in Finland. I'm actually flying up to Michigan tomorrow to see some of my family and spend Mother's Day up there for the week, and bringing my clubs as well to play with a few buddies from back home. So no, the clubs go with me just about everywhere I go. I don't leave those things behind.
Yeah, I think it was the first season you were like, I don't know, I'm probably just gonna, I'll just go and we'll figure it out. And then
Mhm.
I guess, yeah, second year, like, no, we're a package deal everywhere we
Yeah,
go.
it was tough too, because I didn't really know what the weather situation would be like or anything like that, and going there my second year, pretty much in the months of August and September, I was at the golf course almost every single day. So it's a very limited window of when I can golf in Finland. One, with just the season, and two, the weather just gets so bad so quick. So
Yeah.
it's a very very limited season, but it's still a lot of fun. No matter where I go out, I always enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, on the topic of golf, I've heard this kind of asked in a few different podcasts. So I figured it'd be a perfect question to ask you. You have the chance to add three golfers to make it a complete foursome one day. Who are you picking as your other three and why?
Tiger Woods, easy
I mean,
question.
yeah,
I mean, he's just, for what he's done for the game of golf, is crazy. I mean, nobody will ever come close to any records that he has, and
no.
just a big Tiger fan. Rory McIlroy, also a huge fan, probably one of my favorite golfers ever, and probably one of the Korda twins on the LPGA,
Okay.
because I know, like, as a girl, they'd still kick my ass. So no matter what, and still probably hit it further than me as well. And
Yeah.
uh, I don't know, I love just going out there with whoever and kind of seeing how golf is played in many different ways. That's the beauty of the sport. There's not really one way to shoot the puck, or
Yeah.
swing, or whatever. Right? It's man, I love it. It's a great game. Pick the
Okay,
wrong
so
sport.
this wasn't even written down, but obviously it's been kind of the hottest topic in golf for the past 2-3 years. What are your thoughts on the Live Tour versus the PGA Tour? It feels like it's kind of settling down a bit, especially now in the last like 6 to 12 months. But what was kind of your initial thought when that all kind of came to light, and they were basically like, yeah, we got this Saudi league now.
Yeah.
Were you for it, against it? Did you kind of take the side of Rory and Tiger, and you're like, nah, it's not for me, or were you on the other side of the coin?
Yeah, at first I was like obviously against it because I mean none of the details really came out. I was like, what the
Yeah,
heck is this?
yeah,
This sounds terrible, or like what whatever the product, blah blah blah. But yeah, I think everything's kind of settled down now, and a little competition is never is never bad for sport. But
right,
it's just kind of funny. Like the PGA takes all these stands and then increases purses for certain tournaments or whatnot. So they're ultimately kind of doing the same thing as what Live did.
exactly.
So it's kind of hard to hate one or the other when they're kind of both doing the same thing now, right? So I know like the big ordeal right now is like the world golf ranking points and rankings. Like Dustin Johnson, probably one of the best golfers in the world, is now like outside the top 200 or whatever, or something like that. So once they figure out all those details, I'm sure everything will kind of get back to normal. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's kind of whatever. But yeah, I still watch the PGA almost every weekend when I can, and if there's a live tournament on, I'll probably just kind of watch that for a little bit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was kind of a little bittersweet to see old Brooksy break down on the final day at the Masters.
I know,
Let's be
I
honest.
was actually kind of pulling for him. It's especially living down here in Florida now, around all these golfers and all that. It's
Yeah.
you know, especially as an athlete, you never really wish to have another athlete do bad. So no, I was definitely pulling for him to make a charge on Sunday.
Well, you never wish they do bad unless they're playing against your Detroit Lions, and
Oh,
you kind of hope for a breakdown on the other side. But
yeah, when it comes to the Lions, I am a man, I'm a diehard Lions fan, so that's about the only team I will ever root against is if they're playing the Lions. But as in typical Detroit Lions fashion, they still find ways to break your heart every week, and
I mean, the
it
Maple
is what it
Leafs made
is.
it out of the first round. Crazier things have happened this year, so there's
I
a
know.
lot that could still happen for the Detroit Lions. We'll just have to stay tuned. Plenty of time before the NFL season comes
I
back
think they
around.
were favored to win the division for like the first time in I don't know, a long time to say the
Yeah.
least.
Well, they've
I saw a tweet the other day. It was because they just had the new king coronation or whatever for
yep.
the UK, and I saw a tweet. It was like the last time there was a coronation, the Lions won the Super Bowl. So
This is it. Here we go.
crossing fingers that that trend continues.
Well, kind of diving
I
back
already,
into
I already told my general manager too. I said if the Lions go to play in the Super Bowl, I'm flying
I'm
home and
out.
I'm missing those games, and I will be going to that Super Bowl because I'm not sure if I'll ever get that chance in another lifetime.
I was gonna say too. I mean, they've got to understand, especially if Finland is in some kind of national competition, regardless of the sport, and it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. They have to
it's
understand.
it's American football, man. They don't understand over there.
That's fair. We like the violent sports.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
but yeah, kind of going back to Ilves, what was something that you kind of learned this past season about Finland overall that you may have missed, on that first trip over to Elvis in that first season. Kind of like you said, you were just so inundated with trying to figure out, what everything actually meant from the language side of things. But now that you kind of went back for that second year, you were like, okay, I'm comfortable now. I don't have to worry about a routine. I know where I'm going to go. Did other things start to kind of pop up to you where you were like, I really didn't notice that the first year I was here?
Yeah, I think just my second year, like I said, obviously I was a lot more comfortable, but
Yeah.
think I just kind of dived into like the Finnish culture a little bit more. I started going to the sauna a
I was going
lot
to say
more, and
sauna every day.
yeah, and jumping into going into the lake as well, during the winter time, and when my family came to visit, like taking them and doing that. And uh, one of their big things is black sausage over there, and so
Okay.
I tried that a few different times, and interesting,
Yeah, I was gonna say it
to
doesn't
say the
look like
least.
it doesn't look like it ever took. So
Yeah, no, I mean, it's okay. I mean, like I think just trying to dive into the culture a little bit more, and the language is still a problem for me. I think
yeah,
now, obviously, kind of hearing it for 2 years, I can pick out words and kind of understand, what is being said, but there's no way I could, say them myself or put it in a sentence or, I can't understand full sentences, but I can understand words and kind of get an idea of like what my coach is trying to say or something like that.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't even imagine. I'm pretty sure it's one of the most difficult languages to not only learn but like then try to be fluent in. I can't even imagine. But
Yeah, it's hilarious too because, I'm down in Florida now, and uh, I was at the store the other day, and somebody told my girlfriend, he was like, "Hey, like, Les has a really thick accent. He has like that northern accent." I didn't even know you could have a northern accent. So, it probably doesn't help now that I have an accent, and,
yeah.
Finnish being such a hard language too. It just doesn't bode well for me at all.
As long as you continue to translate on the ice, I really think, like I said, that's all that matters. They don't care
Yeah,
about
I,
anything
I
else.
guess I guess that's all they really care about.
So kind of to stand back a little bit and dive into like a hypothetical type of question. Obviously you've had a pretty lengthy career at this point. Is there something like if you had the opportunity to go back and talk to a younger Les Lancaster, maybe, 10, 11, 12 years old before maybe hockey became really everything or, as it was starting to become everything, what would you tell your younger self as far as like career advice or maybe even life advice? Is there anything that you wish you could have kind of heard back then that might help younger skaters of this generation kind of going into their next, season part of their career?
Yeah, I wish I would have told myself to start golf earlier. No, no, it's one thing I've always said. If you look at my career path, it's nothing glorious at all. I've pretty much had to grind and kind of prove myself everywhere I've gone. Uh, I never played in the USHL, never played in the CHL or OHL, Q or
Yeah.
WHL, whatever, any of those leagues. And, went to Mercier's, kind of what some would consider like a bottom end Division 1, program. It's not Boston or anything like that. And I played
Right.
there for 3 years, had 3 successful years, and got to go to the University of Denver for a year and have a chance at a national championship, which was awesome. And never got an AHL contract, no NHL deals, just a ECHL contract. And my first year, obviously, got called up to 3 different AHL teams, and just kind of stuck with it and just kind of bet on myself, and signed a good deal over in Finland, and have had 2 successful years over here. So in a really tough league. I mean, I truly think Liga is one of the best leagues in the world. I mean, we have so much talent in our league, and not even just the old guys, but the young guys. I mean, we got 18, 19-year-olds that are playing heavy minutes for some teams and then getting drafted in the first round of the NHL, or stepping in, and playing in big roles in the NHL or AHL teams. So I don't know. I think our league is incredible, but to those young players, I mean, you just got to kind of stick with the process. Like I said, it's not always about being drafted in the first round or whatever. It's a tough battle. It's everybody can't have the same career path. So if it's something you definitely want to do, you just got to kind of stick with it, bet on yourself, and keep grinding a little bit.
Yeah, there may or may not be a subtle hint to a stop in your career behind me over my shoulder with the Rampage jersey. We had Jack Combs who plays for the Americans. Also went through the Rampage. Rest in peace to the Rampage. Obviously, they are no longer with us. They are now I think the Henderson Silver Knights, and they are
Yeah.
the absolute bottom of the AHL. So good riddance to a degree. But no, I think that's fantastic. Obviously, it's like you said, it hasn't been glorious, but you've kind of worked to a position now where you can kind of be comfortable and really take what you've learned and what you've earned and kind of, take it into the rest of your life, so to speak. So,
Yeah.
at this point in your career, though, is there anything more that you hope to accomplish outside of what you already have? I mean, you've set records, you've been in MVP conversations, defenseman of the year, like we said at the beginning of the podcast. Outside of the obvious, I want to be in the NHL. Is there anything that you hope to accomplish for or throughout the rest of your career?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still a few steps on the ladder to climb. I mean, obviously, yeah, an NHL contract would be phenomenal. I mean, that would mean I achieved one of my goals, since I was a kid, and would get the opportunity to come back home stateside and be closer to family and play, home, as
Yeah,
so to speak. And obviously, it's very tough for me and my family to be so far apart. And
right.
obviously Finland, it's just not the easiest country to get to as well. So it's hard to make a trip to come see me or whatever it may be. But yeah, I mean, I'd really like to win a championship, whether that's with Ilves or somewhere else. Winning a championship, I've never really won anything as a player. I've been close many a times, but have just never really been able to kind of get over that hump. But I know if we were to win a championship in Ilves, I think our city might burn down with excitement. So I think that'd be something really cool to be a part of. I know what we've been building the last 2 years, and truly what a championship would mean to our organization and our city and our fans. I mean, it would mean everything. And I think bringing a championship back to Ilves would probably be the best place to win a championship, I would say, just because it would mean so much to not only the players but to everybody else that's involved within the organization. So like I said, whether I stay long enough to win a championship with them, I'm not sure, but I'm definitely gonna do all I can for next year to bring the championship home.
I mean, it's you're setting records already. So I mean, Elvis, I guess watch out, more records to come, breaking your own records at this point. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's been just such an interesting journey, obviously getting to know you, in your time here in Texas and now over in Finland. We've been very fortunate to stay in touch with you. And a lot of the guys we've had on, but it's been a very special kind of relationship that we've formed with the fans of Ilves. So personally, I just want to say thank you to all of them. We kind of talked about a couple of them, specifically on Twitter that have been pretty active about getting you back on the podcast. So I'm glad we were able to do that. Now, this is probably the last one I want to toss up to you before we call it, but I've always been curious because this is something that I think about a lot. I just play beer league hockey here. For those over in Finland, it's basically you're just not very good at all. That's when you play in our league or adult league, better and easier to understand. But what goes into the decision? Obviously, you were number 14 over here stateside. First and foremost, what was the meaning behind that number? And was there any meaning behind the 74 they were, kind of bestowed upon you over in Ilves? Or was that pretty much hey, you have these numbers to use. We've retired a bunch of them. This is all you've got to choose from. Was there any thought process in that? Or was it pretty much just like, I'm 74 now?
No, well, there's a lot of numbers retired in Ilves. I'm not. I want to say it's like 1, 2, 4, 7, 9.
Yeah.
No, not 9 because somebody was 9 on our team this year. 14, I know, is retired. So 14 was retired, and I was 14 when I was younger. My grandma's favorite player, growing up in Detroit, and especially when I was young, the Red Wings were winning all those Stanley Cups and
Right.
had really good teams. And her favorite player was Brendan Shanahan. So I kind of adopted that as well. And I used number 14 for pretty much all of my sport teams, whether it was baseball, hockey, or whatever it may be. So I figured the 74, the 7 kind of looks like a 1 and kind of just adopted that. So that's just what I went with.
I mean, it's a good look. It's a strong look. It's a strong number. But yeah, so again, man, thank you so much for taking the time. This one's kind of impromptu, but you've got the Panthers logo behind you. I'm obviously a Stars fan. Um, who's going to win the cup this year? You got the Panthers, really got the Maple Leafs on the ropes. The Stars and Kraken are tied up at 2. The Hurricanes look absolutely dangerous, and then there's just a dogfight between Vegas and Edmonton. So, from a professional standpoint of someone who does this for a living, what do you think it's going to take, and who do you think is going to raise the cup at the end of all of this?
Man, well, after living in South Florida now for a little bit, my girlfriend and I, we actually went to a Panthers playoff game against
Yeah,
Boston, Game 6, and it was a great experience. I don't think I've been to a hockey game as a fan in such a long time.
right.
So, I think, oh man, it'd be really cool to have the Panthers, keep going, so I can keep going to playoff games. I've slowly become like a weird Panthers fan all of a sudden. So I'm kind of pulling for them to make a run as far as they can. But man, I mean, Dallas probably has a really good opportunity. Carolina, it
Yep.
looks really good as well, and Vegas seems to be playing pretty good right now too. And I just think the really cool thing is, 3 out of the 8 teams that are remaining haven't even won the cup, and the team that has last won it was Carolina in '06.
Yep.
So, somebody is kind of turning the page in their organization, or making a really good step. I think Dallas was what, 99.
In '99, yeah, was the last
Yeah.
time.
So I don't know, it's a really cool time in the NHL. It's not Boston or Chicago or LA, all those
Yeah.
teams that have kind of won it within the last decade. So I think it's a really cool year that, you're going to see a new organization kind of step up and like I said, make that turn.
Well, there you have it. The expert, the professional hockey player himself with the decisions. Les, once again, man, want to thank you for taking the time. Obviously, with you heading out of town tomorrow, visiting family, always appreciate you hopping on, chatting with us. I know the Ilves faithful are going to love this. And again, just a huge shout out to
Yeah,
that
you gotta be
organization.
careful about some of those people on Twitter, man. Our fans are ruthless on social media. I know they're going to enjoy this, so hopefully, well, at least I hope they enjoy it. If they don't, they'll let you know. That's for sure.
They've
Yeah,
been they've been all pretty positive towards us so far. I mean, I think
that's good, man. They're not always positive towards us players, so
Oh, I
it's
get it. I mean, hey, we're Stars fans. We have the same fan base as the Cowboys, so it's
yeah,
it's
that's
either
true.
it's either this is the year or burn it all down. So there is no in between. But we've been very
I
fortunate.
know it's crazy when we're winning, we're the best players in the world, and when we're
Absolutely,
losing, they wanna sell the whole team and
yeah.
and
Ship
get
them
rid of
out.
every single player. So it's fun. Oh, I had to turn off all my social media during playoff time, man. It was crazy. It was something, all right. But no,
It doesn't. I mean,
hopefully
I
they
get it.
enjoy this, and it gets a
Yeah.
good good response from everybody.
I don't see it not happening. I think the fact that Elvis has a support group all the way over in Dallas, Texas, of all places, I think a lot of them are just tickled because I think they're like what you said. There's some of the best hockey in the world outside of the NHL, and we're just trying to bring more attention to it. And if I can watch hockey on a weekend at 9 in the morning our time, I will absolutely 100% wake up, make some coffee, and do that. So
I would say have a cup of coffee, eat a donut, and watch some hockey. Eh?
I mean, there's nothing better. There really is nothing better. So, but thank you for taking the time to hang out with us. Les Lancaster, Ilves staple, returning back for a 3rd year. And to all the Ilves fans, be nice. All right, be nice. All right, thanks, man.
Yeah, hey, thanks. Like I said, always fun chatting with you guys, and always happy to come on the show and talk shop a little bit. So
Absolutely, won't be the last time. But yeah, thank you again, and we'll definitely see you on down the road.
sounds good.